this inquiry into the nature of death and what it means to die before you die is absolutely vital to the liberated life. And those who gather in these meetings come because of a desire for awakening, liberation, freedom. But that liberation is not some la-la land. True liberation comes when the nature of impermanence, which then includes the nature of life and death, is examined. To understand that death is an integral part of life. This is an uncovering of layers. It's not just a replacement belief, but a deep contemplation in you, so that layers of belief and layers of resistance and fear come undone. A liberated life, an awakened life, is one in which we do not carry the baggage of beliefs. We do not carry our mental, conceptual, ideological constructs and concepts into the now. We come empty, we come naked. It is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. Forget the material acquisitions. We're talking about psychological acquisitions, belief systems that support the idea or the belief of a finite self, a me that begins here and ends there, a me that begins at birth and ends at death. The kingdom of heaven is the nakedness of now, the openness of now, the aliveness of now. And that aliveness cannot be tasted, cannot be touched when there are veils and veils and veils of perception. So this is an important investigation. And ultimately you must find out for yourself, look within. What is offered here are simply pointers to that. Take those pointers. See what they are pointing to. And discover what might fall away within you that was an encumbrance to true aliveness, to true nowness. This is the invitation of die before you die. There's nothing scary in it. Yeah? There's no suicide bombing here. There's no, yeah, this is not an invitation to kill yourself in that way. So let us examine. First of all, that death is not the opposite of life. It is the opposite of birth. In birth, we enter the world of form, the world of the finite. And at death, we exit the world of form and the world of the finite. Even that has within it an unexamined belief that there is a me as a finite self that enters and exits. Ideas, beliefs of the soul that incarnates, of reincarnation, and all other related ideologies are not necessarily wrong. What we are asking here is that are these beliefs, are these ideas, are they inherited? Have they been handed down to you somehow, even by reading, or by religious beliefs, or by New Age beliefs, or by spiritual beliefs, or by certain traditions? Have they been handed down? Because if they have been handed down, then you can only think about them. Ultimately, they are thoughts. There's a thought of the soul. There's a thought of reincarnation. There's a thought of something of me that continues. And as long as it's a thought, it is impermanent. Everything that arises in the thought realm is impermanent. And if it's impermanent, then it is not real in the sense that it is not pointing to or offering the possibility of the deathless. It is the discovery of the deathless, of that which is, if you like, permanent. I would prefer to say eternal, that is the source of liberation. So, to understand how death is not the end of something or the opposite of life, we must look to the nature of impermanence. If we look at life, all life, outer life, the things we perceive, touch, and relate to, and inner life, which are the thoughts, feelings, ideas, beliefs, emotions, outer life and inner life, everything that we experience. We must look to that and examine for ourselves whether its foundation is actually impermanence or permanence. Is it not true that all thoughts that arise also dissipate? They may repeat, but that repetition is never the same. Just like every wave on the ocean, the waves continue, but there is never the same wave. It's always a new one, a fresh one in the now. So the nature of thought is impermanent. It is born and it dies. The Tao of life, the cycle of life. It is not static. Every feeling, examine that. Every emotion, it's never the same as it's experienced. It has a slightly different texture. It's experienced in the now, so it's never really a repetition. It has a memory to it. It has maybe a groove, but it's always fresh. It's now, and it's impermanent. It is born and it dies. Ideas too, constructs. We can cling to those. We can identify with those. But the ideas and constructs themselves can only be thought about. So they're in the thought realm. So there is impermanence. We can look at objects, living beings, other human beings, creatures, trees, leaves, clouds, raindrops, everything that exists, internally, externally, everything that is possible in existence is subject to impermanence. So death and life, they're really one. Yeah, they're really one. And yet there are many personal and collective, religious, spiritual, metaphysical beliefs around death that remain unexamined. To cover up the fear of death, the fear of the end of me. The fact is, and again, this is a contemplation for you, yeah? Take it as you wish, as you will, into you and examine. I say the fact because it's been examined, is that death, the actual experience of death, whilst in the sense of impermanence, it's always here. The death of you, the death of the me that you identify with, is unknown. You cannot possibly know, I cannot possibly know what that is, how it is, until it's actually experienced. Everything else is in the imagination. It is unknown. Everything is unknown until it is experienced. Now, only the now. And in that knowing, that knowing is also dying in the now. Yeah. If we carry that knowing into the future, then we're living a stagnant life. We're living a mechanical life. We're living through the lens of our beliefs, our ideas, our hopes and fears. So death is actually unknown. So entertain the possibility of the ridiculousness and insanity of fearing something that you do not yet know. You're fearing a thought. You cannot know the unknown. So fear is imaginary. You're creating an obscuration to true knowing, to true discovery. Death becomes a picture, an image, an idea, a thought. And you are actually relating to that. That is what you are fearing. How can you fear a thought? How can you fear a picture, an imagination? Yeah, so examine that. Examine how insane that is. Is it not sanity? To live awake is sanity. So the reason for this offering, for this topic, for this program, for this contemplation, for this invitation, is to ignite in you the willingness, more than willingness, the desire, the fire, the passion, the deepest longing to no longer postpone the meeting with death. Why postpone it? The postponement keeps it as an idea, as a thought about what will happen in the future, which is unknown, but it becomes a known, a picture, an idea, an imagination. And that postponement, the gap between now, between here and there, is filled with fear, avoidance, denial, not thinking about it, not contemplating it, but keeping it as some image out there. So the invitation is to meet death without an image. Again, this is an ongoing discovery in you, not providing all the answers here, but providing the invitation and some pointers. And this postponement, this division, this separation between life and death, which are separated into opposites, and we are examining the possibility that they are not opposites. Life and death are like this, yes, not like this, not at two ends of the continuum, not two ends of the polarity, beginning and ending, but life and death are this. To keep them at opposite ends of the spectrum prevents the fully living now, because life and death are the same in the, or from the perspective, in the perspective of awakeness. Yeah. When they are at either end of the spectrum, we live in bondage. Bondage to our fears, bondage to our belief systems, bondage to our hopes, bondage to our need for security and safety and comfort, need for believing in this finite self. This is me. And I begin and end here. And anything that threatens that is something to be avoided or rejected or attacked or defended against. And this creates bondage, the bondage of the unliberated self, the bondage of a mechanical mind. A mechanical mind cannot know true freedom. A mechanical mind cannot know true love. When I say mechanical, I mean entrapped by the matrix of thoughts, fears, hopes, beliefs, constructs, and the idea of me as a finite self that begins here and ends here, begins here and ends here. A truly liberated life is one where this self has died psychologically. Yeah, we're speaking of a psychological death, and of course it also relates to physical death, because that's also a psychological death ultimately. But we have to examine it here not in the imagined future. That's unknown. We examine it here, and when we examine it here, then here and here and here will include the final here. Yeah. So it's the same. Yeah. But to die before you die is a psychological death. It's the willingness and very real possibility of meeting each moment, meeting the experience of this moment without the baggage of the self, or of the past, without baggage of beliefs, without baggage of fears, without baggage of hopes. It is now and now and now. It is naked. It is empty. It is innocent. And the meek will inherit the earth. It doesn't mean you're weak or passive. It means you're innocent, you're naked. You're not carrying your bag of acquisitions, acquired knowledge, acquired beliefs, and everything that comes with that. It's a naked meeting with reality, and only here can you know true life, true aliveness, the goodness, the godness, the isness of what is, just here and here and here. So it's a profound invitation. It is ultimately a rebirth, a death and a rebirth.